The old heater rattled like it was fighting for its life. Inside the dimly lit apartment, James Walker lay on the thin carpet, one arm cradling his 6-man-old twins, the other clutching a threadbare blanket. His body ached from the cold, from the years in the Marines, from life itself. He hadn't meant to fall asleep on the floor. But when the electricity was cut off that afternoon, the bedroom had turned into an icebox. The floor near the little space heater plugged into his one working outlet was the only warm spot left. He whispered to his babies, "Daddy's here. Daddy's not going anywhere." James had been many things in his life: a soldier, a husband, a man, with plans, but life had stripped all that away. His wife passed unexpectedly after childbirth. The VA benefits barely covered rent, and the mechanic job he picked up after service collapsed when the shop closed. Now, he worked nights as a security guard and days doing delivery runs, still never enough. It was 2 a.m. when the knock came, loud, sharp, unexpected. James tensed. Wasn't expecting anyone. He stood up slowly, laying the twins gently on the blanket. When he opened the door, he froze. Standing there in a crisp overcoat was Richard Hale, the man who owned the entire building, a billionaire real estate developer. The same man who could have evicted James months ago for being late on rent. Richard stepped inside without waiting. "Your downstairs neighbor called me, said there was water leaking from your ceiling." His voice was clipped, businesslike, but then his eyes shifted to the corner of the room, the twins sleeping on the floor. James wore a nut jacket laid over them like a shield. Something in Richard's face changed. His usual iron composure cracked. "You're sleeping here?" he asked, voice lower now. James didn't try to make excuses. "The bedroom's too cold. Heat's been off since yesterday. I am working on it." Richard walked further in. His polished shoes clicked on the cheap tile. He crouched down. An odd sight. A billionaire kneeling on a floor that smelled faintly of baby powder and old carpet. He touched the blanket, then glanced up at James. "How long have you been like this?" James shrugged. "We manage. The kids eat. That's what matters." Richard looked at the twins again. Something about the way they breathe, soft, trusting, safe, seemed to pull him into another time. He spoke quietly. "When I was a kid," Richard began, "my dad left. My mom worked 3 jobs some nights. We slept in the back of her car." James didn't know what to say. Richard stood, pulling out his phone. "The heat will be fixed tonight, and tomorrow you're moving." James stiffened. "If you're evicting me," Richard cut him off, "I'm upgrading you. There's a vacant 2-bedroom on the 6th floor. Fully furnished, rent-free for the year, and I'm calling a friend who runs a veterans program. They'll get you steady work, better work." James stared, stunned. "Why? You don't even know me." Richard's gaze softened. "Because I know what it's like to be cold, hungry, and scared." And because he glanced at the twins. "They deserve better. You've been fighting alone long enough." For the first time in months, James felt something he hadn't dared. To feel hope. That night the heater was fixed, but James barely noticed. He sat on the floor holding his children, whispering promises about a better tomorrow. A week later, he was in the new apartment, a safe place, a warm place, had a job lined up through the veterans program and the first good night's sleep. In years, Richard visited once, not to check on the rent, but to bring a crib and 2 stuffed animals. The billionaire didn't stay long. He just smiled, placed a hand on James's shoulder, and said, "One day you'll help someone else. That's how this works." And James promised himself he would. Sometimes the greatest battles aren't fought overseas. They're fought in small apartments in the quiet hours with 2 little hearts depending on you. And sometimes a stranger's kindness wins the